Welcome back, everybody, to Echo Masterclass. Today, I have a very special guest for you. Today, I have Kyle Seagraves, who is absolutely blowing up on YouTube. Now, we'll link everything in the description down below, so you don't need to go find him right now. You need to just trust me on this, because when you hear the numbers of how he's growing his channel incredibly fast in the niche that he's in, you're going to be surprised. He's blowing me out of the water. So the fact that he is joining us today on my channel is an honor. Kyle, thank you so much for joining. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. Man, I'm super excited. And I don't know about blowing you out of the water because you have more videos than I do. And I feel like I learned a ton from your channel just on how to create content, especially with the model that you've demonstrated with how you're putting out so many videos.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So I would gladly change the numbers if
we can swap later.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the YouTube world, because the people that are watching this video, you know, they're followers of the channel, and
sure.
They hear me talking about YouTube quite a bit. A lot of them have bought in, which is fantastic, but a lot of them still haven't. And for those of you out there that haven't bought into YouTube, then shame on you, because you've seen 20 different videos just this month alone about video. So Kyle, tell us why did you jump into the YouTube space?
Yeah.
Well, let me not tell you your story. I want to hear it directly from you.
Sure. So I started as a loan officer 2 years ago. And like, you know, if you're either loan officers watching this or realtors watching this, it's the struggle of sales where you're always trying to find, where am I going to get a new lead or a new client? And so that was the biggest struggle. And especially being, you know, starting off as a loan officer, being 22 years old, there were other people who were in my space who had been originating as long as I've been alive. So I felt like I needed kind of an edge to separate myself a little bit with clients that I was talking to. So that's when I started really looking at using video as a way to engage with clients in a different way. So I didn't actually see YouTube as being a viable way to get leads in the beginning. It was something that kind of happened a lot later. So I first just wanted to make videos because I wanted to separate myself to clients and to realtors. And I also wanted to answer the questions that I kept getting asked like 50 times in a row. Like, right, what's an appraisal? It's like, oh my gosh, here's just a 5-minute video, go watch it. And then we can talk about it. So I first started off making videos in that way. I did one-on-one videos through BombBomb or Wistia Soapbox. Like last year, I made about 900 videos just one-on-one. And then slowly started kind of building a library of YouTube content. And then within the past, I would say 6 to 8 months, I started recognizing like, oh, there's a lot more that YouTube can provide than just being a place to store videos. Where I actually saw people starting to reach out to me, where people are calling me saying, hey, we found you on YouTube. We'd love for you to do a loan for us, which is a wild, a wild thing. To the point now where I've had to like take my phone number off of YouTube descriptions because it gets a little too much. But it really is incredible to see that you can go put out helpful information to people and they're going to want to reach out to you. And what this does is completely shifts the relationship from being where, you know, as a loan officer, I used to have to kind of grovel to work with a realtor and then convince their client to want to work with me. And same thing for realtors. Like realtors are going out there, they're competing with other listing agents, or they're competing in a market where you have these buyers who just want to go out and see homes. And it's really difficult to build that relationship and trust.
Yeah.
When you have something like YouTube videos, you have this whole library that gets created. People create this almost like pseudo relationship with you, and then they want to work with you before they ever talk with you. And so that kind of person is so much more fun to work with because they already trust you off the bat. Now it's how can we ease the friction to make the deal happen? So these past few months, I've seen quite a few deals come in just from YouTube, where I don't even talk with somebody and they fill out a loan application. Like I'll wake up in the morning, loan application, full docs, ready to go, which is crazy to even have that experience, because most loan officers are trying to buy leads and convince people and cold calling. And so there is a huge opportunity in YouTube, even for channels that, you don't have to have this crazy huge channel. Just even having a smaller channel, especially in like a hyper local area, is huge to bring in business.
Kyle, when did you start your channel for a little bit more perspective?
Sure. I started seriously making videos about 16 to 18 months ago.
Okay. So about 18 months, a year and a half ago,
yeah,
you started making videos, and you mentioned kind of how that progression, or what led you to do that. And slowly it started, well, not so slowly. We'll get into numbers here in a little bit, but
sure.
you started seeing, oh, this is not necessarily what I thought. And not in a bad way, but
Yeah,
started evolving into something a little bit different, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes. But last time I checked, last time we spoke even, which was last week, was you were right around 21,000 subscribers. As of this recording, you're at 24,000 subscribers. And when this is released, this is your channel's gonna be at 25,000 subscribers, if not more. So
yeah,
I want to put this in perspective for people. You may think, oh, 25,000 subscribers, that's not Logan Paul's numbers. That's not PewDiePie. That's not Casey Neistat. Well, guess what? The type of videos that you make, the audience that you're that you're reaching to, are exponentially worth more than the viewers that those other channels get.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, going back to your point, the subscriber count, yes, that's fantastic. That's more of a vanity number. You and I were talking about it before the recording, but the easiest lead in the world that you're going to ever convert is somebody that calls you from YouTube, and I'm firmly convinced on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. You get calls, I can't believe you picked up the phone.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm actually talking to you. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's not the types of conversations to where you're saying somebody fills out the application and then, I don't know this person. It's happened to me. I mean, as you know, I am with eXp Realty, and everyone knows that model. I'm not necessarily trying to go down that route, but when I check my email and I see X, Y, and Z person named you as a sponsor, when X, Y, and Z person and I have never spoken, so I have to go to Zillow and find out who in the world this is.
Yeah.
That is a power of YouTube, and that's something that you've absolutely mastered. How have you been able to grow so fast? Because to get, again, here I go on another soliloquy, I guess. Growing in your niche that fast does not happen because of the type of content that you make. How have you been able to do it?
That's a great question. If I had a succinct answer for it, I would let you know. Really, I feel like my goal has just been to kind of like piggybacking off of what you were talking about, is trying to be just the most helpful I can in that space. And what I've found is that the more that I double down on the idea of being authentic with who I am and helping people, the more the channel grows. And the more that I try to push into what everyone else is doing, and not what everyone else is doing, what other people are doing that's different than who I am, the less traction those kinds of videos get. So for me, really, it's just been about saying, how can I consistently show up as somebody who's helpful? I'm not trying to sell people. I think I maybe only have 2 videos with like some sort of pitch in them. The rest are just, I'm showing up and helping you. If you want to reach out, great. People know how to do that. But it really has just been seeing, how can I be the most helpful person to this audience? Because these are people that are going through one of the most stressful purchases they'll make in their life. And the fact that they're looking for a video shows that they have a problem, they know they need it solved. And so they're looking for somebody who they can actually trust to get that issue solved there. So for me, it's really just been this idea of like, how do I become a content creator over a period of time? And really it takes practice. It's kind of like, I know that, you're not a sports guy. I'm not a sports guy either. But the only analogy I have is like, if you're learning how to play anything, like let's say you're learning how to ski, like no one expects that you would go strap on skis and go down a hill and be a master, right? Like I would break a few bones going down, I'm sure. But like, when people want to make videos, they assume that their first video has to be good. And like, if you go back and look at my original videos, they're not very great. It's like me with my iPhone, holding it up, walking around a neighborhood, yelling at a camera. It really is just, you're showing up and you're practicing and you're being as authentic as possible. And one way that I've found that you can kind of dive into that is just exploring, like, what are the things that you're growing through? So for instance, like, I've been kind of pushing into this theme of like calm in my own life, because I've recognized I've had some like struggles with anxiety over the past few years. And so I started recognizing, like, oh, okay, if I took this thing that I was going through internally, brought it to my audience, that might resonate really well with them. And so what I've found is, even just using the word calm in the language that I use, I now have hundreds of comments of people saying, this helped me feel more calm, this helped me feel at ease. And you start creating an environment around the videos that you have. And I think that's where a lot of the progress and growth that I'm seeing is coming from, is creating an atmosphere around the videos. I'm not just showing up with cold content saying, here's how you calculate your debt to income ratio. It's not super exciting. Like, I want to create an atmosphere around helping people with where they're at emotionally too, and helping rehumanize the conversation, so they don't feel like they're just talking to or getting talked at by a loan officer, or they're just hearing numbers. They're actually hearing the emotionality and the experience that they're going through as well.
That's powerful. And you know what? I feel like that was probably something directed at me. So you're taking pot shots at me?
Not at all. Not at all, man.
I completely relate. And when it comes to, it can feel so transactional, especially the type of content that you make and that I make. It's designed to help people. I am helping real estate agents from that side, how to run ads, how to convert, all that other stuff. So there's a lot of meat on the bone, and you want to be as detailed as possible, but you can almost do that dehumanization and see it as a transaction. Okay, you came here to learn Facebook ads. Here's how you do it, blah, 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 blah. And I was seeing those comments in my personal videos, and on your side as well, is what you're saying, the creating that atmosphere. You want people to come back, obviously, but also you want people to get in the state that they're actually going to receive the information a little bit. Yeah. If they come here just to learn, all right, so I got to put this into a calculator, this into a calculator, boom, never formed a relationship. Well, there's a lot of other content that they could use from your channel, and you're helping them through, you mentioned it earlier, one of the biggest transactions, if not the biggest transactions in their life. So they do need somebody that's trusted. And when I watch your videos, I do get that sense. I do get a sense that there's a community here. I do get the sense that there is something a little bit beyond a simple Excel worksheet that you're phenomenal at, by the way.
Well, thanks.
So I can see your channel growth. I can go in, speaking back to you, the viewers of this channel. I can't overstress, I think that's the word I'm going after. I can't overstress the path that Kyle is on when it comes to the trajectory he's about to. I am firmly convinced that you're going to hit 100,000 subscribers, if not within the year, within 6 months.
Well, that would be awesome. I'd welcome it.
I firmly believe that there's those channels. I've seen it enough. Unfortunately, I spent about 12 hours on YouTube. I hate to admit that, but I spent about 12 hours on YouTube. And I see these channels, I see those trends, and your particular channel really resonates and hits beyond a mortgage, hits beyond that. So that is fantastic. So when you're talking about, creating that atmosphere, how do you decide what's the next video I'm going to make? How do you curate your content? Yeah,
that is, man, figuring out what to make, I feel like, is the hardest part of creating content. And the thing that I've done from the beginning is I've always had an ideas list. And it sounds like the most simple thing that you'll just overlook and be like, yeah, okay, I'll do an ideas list later. But seriously, like, having a list of ideas to write down That way, when you go and record a video, you don't have to think about what you're making, is the most powerful thing you can do. Like right now, I have a list of probably 200 plus videos to make in the future, which can feel a little bit overwhelming, but I know when I go to sit down to make a video, I can look through this list and figure out what I want to make. And the reason why you want to have this is, like, I used to just have it on a note on my phone. So when a client would text me a question, and I would think, oh, that I can make a video out of that, and write it down. Or an idea pops into your head. Let me go write that down. And you're kind of just doing this brain dump. And what ends up happening is I can look at a video or a video idea today, and then when I end up sleeping on it, by the morning, it's like you have all these fresh ideas about, oh my gosh, I can bring this to the conversation that maybe hasn't been addressed with this topic before. So really, I think the most powerful thing to start doing today is like creating an ideas list, where any idea that pops in your head, you're going and shopping at the grocery store, like go and write it down. Otherwise, you're going to sit down to make a video and not make it because you're thinking, I have no idea what to make. And you spent all of your energy on figuring out what to make instead of bringing it inside of the video as well. So most of it comes from an ideas list. After I have the ideas list, I then try to validate the idea a little bit. So I want to see, are other people actually searching for this? And this is kind of where I think there's two different types of content, at least in my mind. I feel like there's like validated content where I can actually see other people are searching for this. You know, there's other videos on it. YouTube is suggesting videos like these. And then there's like inspired content. So a good example would be like a validated idea would be, I can go type in the YouTube search bar, I can type how to buy a home, and I can see all the autocomplete suggestions about how to buy a home. Okay, that's a validated idea. People are searching for that. One that's like inspired is something that YouTube might share on its own, and maybe people aren't actually searching for it. So a good example of this is I made a video, was last week or earlier this week, about how much house you can buy with $50,000 a year. I did no research on like, is that something people are searching for? And I can't find anything of YouTube suggesting those search terms. But that video is done super well because it was actually a comment that somebody left for me, and I took that and turned it into a video. So you can get idea sources from all over the place. And I think the key is actually putting it down on paper so you can do something with it. Otherwise, it's just going to be an idea up here and you'll forget about it. So, you know, anytime somebody leaves me a comment and they're like, hey, I have this idea for a video suggestion, I go write it down, because odds are if one person is asking about it, there are tons of other people who also have those same questions.
Guys, he's actually just being modest. Over the last 7 days, or actually less than 7 days, his video has amassed 72,000 views. And by the time that you're watching this, it's probably going to be close to 80, close to 90. Now, I say this, one, to really pay kudos to you, Kyle, because that's a phenomenal number. But I also want to put this into perspective, because when I hear that, it can be a bit demoralizing. Well, okay, yeah, that's great. He's had his channel, it's growing, fantastic, all that stuff. He's getting hundreds of thousands of views every single month. But again, it doesn't help me, right? Mm-hmm. And we've already provided a lot of actionable stuff. I like the distinction that you made about the validated and the inspired content. So I want to dig into that. But right now, I kind of want to do a level set for the audience, because you don't need all of those views. I love those views. I'd kill for those views. Most views video in my channel is probably 25,000 views. So I say that so you understand that I have a very healthy business, and I am nowhere close to his numbers. I'm nowhere close to the larger channels as well. So I want to really inspire you to remember kind of the business that you're in. Kyle, you were talking about, what business are we in? And I gave you my perspective that I am now in the content business. Yeah. So for the real estate agents out there, real estate professionals, if you're you work in title company right now, there's a place for you in YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know we had this conversation too about like the worth of the views. Like entertainment channels are not going to get paid as much per view or have as much traction per view because that audience worth is a little bit lower from like a monetary perspective. And I think it's the same thing when you're talking about like a real estate agent. You don't want really to have a ton of views. It's not helpful to have 70,000 views on a video as a real estate agent in a local area, because then you're going to have a ton of people who you can't work with. That's going to take away from you being able to actually work with clients that you want to. And, we had that conversation about a perfect example is like your CPM that YouTube pays you in ad revenue is higher than mine, because your audience, the people who watch your videos, have a higher monetary value because of what they're looking for than mine does. And I think the same thing with like when you're looking at a realtor who's making content in, let's say, Nashville, you can have, there are agents who only have, a few thousand subscribers or maybe a few hundred subscribers, and are still creating profitable businesses and generating leads from YouTube. I was getting people who were calling me when I had 100 subscribers. Like, you don't have to have a crazy number to see traction. And the hard part too is like the growth that you're going to see on YouTube tends to be exponential in some capacity. I think before I started seeing any traction, I probably made 120 videos. And you have people who are like, why are you spending so much time making videos for nothing? You have like 20 something subscribers, but that growth is going to happen over a period of time. And just continue to keep in mind, like, who are you actually looking to serve? If it's the people in your local market and you're looking to drive that kind of audience, then you're not even looking for these crazy views. You're not looking for tons of subscribers. You're looking to connect with somebody who's looking for help. And as long as you're doing that, you're going to find that business coming to you.
100%, 100%. So when you're going back to an earlier point that you made, because this was new, this wasn't necessarily that I had categorized this way. So you gave me something to really analyze, because you are very, very right. You were talking about the different types of videos, primarily the validated ones, where you can go to other channels or you can type in, see what's going on. That's where we get into the whole very analytical vidIQ, TubeBuddy, keywords everywhere, Google Planner, whatever the case may be, which I teach that quite a bit in this channel. So that's what I'm used to, right? But over here, you're talking about the inspired content. That was a new switch for me. And was the video that's going, I call it viral because it is going to amass hundreds of thousands of views. Was that an inspired? I think you even mentioned it.
Yeah, that one was inspired. And I think the inspired content is a little bit scary because you're kind of taking a leap of faith into thinking, I have this gut feeling that I need to make this video, but I don't know if it's going to get any traction at all because I can't actually validate it with numbers. The validated types of content feel more secure to make because I can go to TubeBuddy and see like, oh, there's this many people searching for it, and I have this sort of ranking if I make it. But the inspired ones to me are where I think you're going to cement the idea of the atmosphere that you're making and the community that you're creating around these videos. Because we have to keep in mind that, we don't want our channel to just be full of keyword search terms, because then most of what we're going to get are people who are new to the channel, which is great. But the inspired content, I think, is where we're going to help establish that longer term relationship with people. So for instance, like I have a video that I just made the other day on like home buying anxiety. It doesn't have a ton of views. It's like pretty low performing to the rest of the videos on my channel. But I know that what it's doing is it's taking that core community that I have and really helping instill this atmosphere that's coming around with the rest of the channel, and instilling that idea of calm and recognizing the emotions that happen through the buying process. So sometimes the inspired content takes off, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the main thing is, at least that I had to realize was, I want to do a lot of validated content because obviously that's how we're going to help bring new people to the channel, because they're going to search for something and find our videos. But I also want to establish that relationship with them. And I think that's where that inspired content comes from. Where you're recognizing themes that people are saying about you and your channel, things that they're going through, or you're just recognizing a common problem that you keep seeing with your clients. And you think, well, I want to make a video on this because this is something that's happening in people's lives, but it's not really a search term. It's not really something I can go find, or I don't see it as like a profitable keyword. But that, I think, is what's really going to help establish the community and atmosphere around your content.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's awesome. So let me ask you this, because everybody, I'll give you my answer first, and then I'm curious to see how you approached it. So your audience is buyers and sellers primarily, right? So what I consider the B2C, so business to consumer or client, whatever you want to replace.
Yeah.
I consider my audience more B2B, so business to business. The real estate agents are a business. So how I approach getting the views of you viewers out of the screen into my CRM, into my DMs, into everything else, how I do that is through offering you something that is valuable to you. So you find value in doing Facebook ads. So I created a little a course so you can put your email in there and we can be in communication that way. I just give away a ton of free stuff. So when you were doing this very diligently, yes, providing value, that's the key of it, getting the views and providing something that's worth watching. How did you go about structuring or thinking about, well, how am I going to pull somebody off of the screen into either a phone call? I mean, you've been wildly successful to where you take that off now, but how did you go about getting people to reach out to you? Is there a call to action in the videos? Is there something in the description? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to stay away from doing a call to action because I wanted the people who reached out to me to be adamant about working with me. And it's kind of funny, like, people know what to do at this point with online content. At least that's what it seems like. People know there's normally going to be a link in the description. There's going to be a way to find you. There's actually only one place on my website that I have my phone number, and it's because it's legally required. And people still call me, which I wish I could hide. But I appreciate the calls, but sometimes it gets a lot. But what I started doing, and I copied this from Miles Beckler, if you're familiar with him, he always says, like, this is Miles with milesbeckler.com, and then jumps right into the content. Yeah. So I did the same thing. I'll just say, this is Kyle with winthehouseyoulove.com, jump right into the content. And the implication is that if you want more information, you're going to go to the website, right? And that is what's driven most of the traffic to my webpage. And then what I did is I created a webpage that was unique to me, which I think would benefit a lot of realtors and a lot of loan officers or title agents or insurance agents, whoever's watching this, because, like, frankly, the website your company gives you is probably garbage and isn't going to be really easy for people to understand information about you and what to do next. Yeah. So, when I was focusing mainly on originating, I made it very easy for people to go click a button and apply. So the process was really easy. They would go, my website used to just be my name. It used to be kyleseagraves.com, type it in, apply. And then, I wake up and I have an application in the morning ready to go. And now, I'm working on building an email list for a future home buying planner that I'm working on. Same thing. You go to my website, that's the first button you can click. So that's been the main way that I've kind of driven people from YouTube into kind of more of a closer internal space, is just saying, hey, this is who I am. This is the website. Now let's push into content a little bit. And there are some where I have like a little soft sells. Also, I have my website URL at the very bottom of my video. It basically plays through the entire thing because I have like a slide up on screen, but it's just winthehouseyoulove.com sitting right on the bottom. So I've tried to make it more implied than like a hard pitch to somebody. I think I'm just so bad at selling. I like more of the natural organic approach over a long period of time than trying to convince somebody to work with you. just from what I've found, like from originating, is the harder I try to get somebody to work with me, the more stress there is in that relationship, than when I just create the atmosphere that makes it easy for people to work with me. When I remove the friction, the people who want to work with you are going to work with you, and those clients are going to be so much more enjoyable to work with than the ones that you have to call and continue to follow up with and try to convince to work with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your workflow. And I am interested in that. You mentioned that there's a project that you're working on to help the buying process. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to dig into that here in a little bit, but I want to learn more about the back end of, are you editing your own videos?
Yes, I am, but I don't really edit them very much. All I do is I trim the front and the end. The only time I'll cut something out in the middle is like, I don't know, some fluke happens, I like cough or something. And even then, sometimes I don't edit it out. And I get people who comment and are like, this is stop coughing or whatever, which is funny. But and what I try to do is I try to make the process as easy as possible. I knew that from the beginning, if I create all these hurdles for myself, I'm not going to make the videos. And I think that's what stops a lot of people is they think, well, I don't know how to edit, or I don't know how to make these flashy videos. I mean, shoot, like if you look at my videos, almost all of them have me looking down at notes. And even like, that's kind of like my standard now is like, I have notes on screen and I look at my notes and I talk about them. And then I look at my notes and I talk about them. But people are afraid to do that. Like we kind of grew up in school and we were taught we have to have these professional presentations and not looking at notes and not saying or ah. I don't think any of that really matters. People want to see you show up authentically and they want to get help. So I try to not edit at all. I just do one take most of the time. And then the only editing I do is really just to I take my iPad notes, put them on screen with me. And then I'll do like a couple overlays in Final Cut, but it's really nothing crazy as far as editing. I experimented with like doing some B-roll, so like overlaying some images and stuff. It didn't make any difference other than create a lot more time and work for me. I really think it just comes down to, we're in the space of we're creating informational content. If you're creating entertainment, then like maybe we might want to spice things up a little bit. But when you're creating information and educational content, I think people really don't care as much about the entertainment value. I think it can be a nice little sparkle if you have it. And if that's who you are, if you're like an entertaining person, I think that's great. But don't let that slow you down from creating content because you feel like there's this strange standard that you have to meet to earn the value, to earn the worth of people wanting to get information from you.
Awesome. No, if I could get away with doing one takes, get out of town.
It's all in the notes. I'm cheating at this point by I have notes on my screen right here.
I don't care if I had the teleprompter. I would be, it's just not going to work. It's not going to major props, but I absolutely resonate with what you're saying. And a lot of times we try to overdo it. And I think where that's coming from a lot is from us seeing the final product from somebody else.
Yeah.
They don't take into consideration the 177 that you've already put in the can.
Right.
The 900 that you did on the one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
It's that imposter syndrome that happens where, I can't make that type of video because of X, Y, and Z. And, mine is awful. I think it just comes from that a lot. It stems a lot from that. So we self-defeat ourselves before we even start.
Yeah, I think the best lens that I've found you can filter everything in life through this lens. Is like, how can I help somebody? Is this going to help someone? It applies to videos in the sense of, hey, mate, I have this feeling almost all the time I make a video. I think like, well, there's somebody else out there who has way more knowledge and information on this who can make this. But how can I show up and be helpful? Yep. And as long as I'm doing that, Great. That's all that matters. I showed up. I did the best I could. I was helpful. The same thing can apply in the rest of life. Is like, if I'm going to go into a meeting with somebody who, I think of like when I used to go talk with realtors who earned way more money than I did, and were super successful and, been in business as long as I've been alive pretty much. And it's, like, how can I be helpful to them? That's all that matters at the end. And I think as long as you're filtering everything through there, the rest starts to fade away, because you're not trying to do this self-worth fight that a lot of us try to do, where we try to see, am I worthy enough to go create a video? Am I worthy enough for somebody to watch? Am I worthy enough for somebody to subscribe and listen to me? None of that matters when I'm just saying, hey, I recognize you're struggling with a problem. Here's how I can help in some small capacity. And that looks like me just shooting a video in my car. Great. Then that was me helping you. Outside of that, I think the rest really just doesn't matter too much.
Awesome. Well, speaking about helping people, I want you to touch on if you don't mind, I'd like for you to touch on the project that you've got going on about helping buyers. You come from a big place of contribution, which I've yet to see a Lambo in the back.
Yeah, it's sitting right out over there.
I'd love to see that, because that really means you're contributing.
Yeah.
So you come from a very contribution-based focus.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak about what the project that you've got going on with helping buyers?
Sure. So it really kind of stemmed out of, like, I've been wanting to figure out, I don't really have anything to sell right now. Like I'm transitioning out of originating loans. So now everything is just YouTube ad revenue. So I'm trying to figure out, like, is there a product that I can bring to the space? Again, from that lens of how can I help somebody? The most logical thing that most people kind of go through, and it applies to most niches, is like, let me go create a course. Like, here people have a problem, let me go create a course. And most of the time that's really helpful. But when I started thinking about it, I was like, I can make a home buying course, but is that the most helpful solution? Probably not. I know that I don't want to go through a home buying course personally. It's the most boring sounding thing to me. So I thought, well, okay, really the big struggle that people have when they're looking at buying a home, whether it's the first time, second time, third time, is, what do I do next? So what I'm working on currently is this home buying planner that's basically going to be this massive to-do list. And it's stuff that people are already going to be doing anyway, but it's going to alleviate the stress and the friction and the anxiety that comes from, I have no idea what to do next, and really just break down the whole process. So it's going to be everything from, checking credit to talking and interviewing loan officers, down to changing the locks in your home after you move in, to replacing batteries in the smoke detector. All of these little things that start to create tons of anxiety when they just spin around in our mind, I really just want to put into one planner for people to use. So I'm working on building kind of a nice little intuitive app that's going to be this to-do list. It's going to hold contacts and dates for people in there as well. So it's going to be like a dashboard for them when they're buying a house. All their information is going to be right there. They know what to do next. They know what information they already have, so they can make actionable decisions based out of a place of calm and relaxation, instead of feeling like they're stressed all the time. I have documents and numbers and paperwork all over the place.
That's awesome. So how can, because I see that hugely beneficial to agents for their clients.
Yeah.
As again, some agents have different, I'm not trying to knock the viewers here, but I am an agent as well. So
sure.
I feel like, whoops, I forgot to tell them that, or I forgot to tell her
Yep.
that. So that'd be greatly beneficial for us to, share with our clients. How can our agents find out when that's ready?
Sure. I have a wait list on my website. So if you go to winthehouseyoulove.com, so WIN, winthehouseyoulove.com, right on the homepage has a button for you to click. You can enter your email address to get on the wait list. And then once that goes out, I'm going to shoot it out for I'm sure, crazy nice discount to everybody, just to get it tested out and everything. But hopefully getting that up and running within the next 4 to 6 months. It's kind of a bigger project. I have no like software development background, and I'm going to try to do it myself. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I think it's going to be crazy beneficial to not only buyers but agents as well. Because I had the same problem as a loan officer. Is, you know, you're thinking there's so many things that I need to tell this buyer that they just don't know, or the realtor's not telling them. You know, everything from changing utilities to mail forwarding to, you know, there's all of this stuff in there. It's like, how can you as one person possibly try to help somebody remember all these things along with doing your job and helping them get a loan or helping them close on the house or negotiate the deal? It's so difficult to try to remember all of these things. So I really just want to make it one place for them to go to have all this information to hopefully ease that relationship as well that the agents have with their buyers. So there's a little bit less friction in there too.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, Kyle, how can the audience connect with you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. Again, you can sign up to the email if you want to. My email is also on my website as well. So you're welcome to shoot me an email if you have questions about how I set stuff up or apps I use or whatever. Any questions, if you have mortgage questions, I can answer those too.
Awesome. Kyle, thank you so much for your time. And folks, you heard it here first. Kyle will hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm calling it, speaking it into being. And when that happens, he's going to remember me.
Absolutely.
I have nothing to ask on that part, but I just ask that you remember me for the sake of remembering me. So,
absolutely.
thanks, Kyle. I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much. It's great talking with you.